Hello, everybody, and welcome to Table Talk. So, the month of June is National Dairy Month. So, today, Table Talk is focusing all about dairy, and I have an interview with our dairy farmer. And in case you haven't noticed, I am on Jennifer's farm today. Not really, but just pretending to be because this is her farm and it's absolutely beautiful. And I love this guy, gal, cute little cow there. So happy to be here. My name is Joni Rampola, one of the registered licensed dietitians with Giant and Martin's. And Jennifer, you want to take a moment to introduce yourself and say the name of your farm and where you're located?
Yes, my name's Jennifer Lawrence, and name of our farm is Told You So Farm LLC. We're in Little Britain Township, and that's in the southern part of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And I farm here with my husband and our oldest daughter. We're truly a family farm.
Very nice. You're getting lots of love in the chat, people saying hi, and they so appreciate you and the hard work that you do for us. So it's a great appreciative audience, and we love that. So can you talk a little bit more about what you do and life on the farm?
Um, Life on the farm begins here at 4 a.m. when we start milking the girls. We're milking right around 100 milk cows. Um, Cows, we start them out as babies, of course. When they're born here, then we artificially inseminate our dairy cows, and they calve in about 2 years old, 24 months, and that's how they begin their life cycle here on our farm. We have longevity in our farm. We take pride in that our cows get to be a ripe old age here, and some of those girls you see on the picture behind you are what we call our dry cows. And after a cow's been milking for a while, we do get her bred back. And when she is 7 months pregnant, because they have a 9 month gestation, just like we do, she gets to go on vacation for 2 months. And that 2 months vacation gets her body ready to have another calf and come back into milk and produce the good quality milk that we've all become accustomed to.
Excellent. So a couple customer questions. One is, can you say slowly the name of the farm?
Sure. Uh, Told You So Farm. It's a combination of our names. My husband's Tom, our last name is Lawrence, my name Jennifer, and so Told You So Farm. Like, we told you so, but not quite so.
Why do cows have to be milked so early?
Well, that's what we choose to do. We like to get up early, up with the chickens and go to bed with the chickens, so to speak. We get up at 4, we milk cows at 4 in the morning, and then again 12 hours later at 4 in the afternoon. That allows us to get our chores done and get to bed at a good time. Other people don't milk at that time. Some people milk at 6 in the morning, but if you're milking your cows twice a day, it's generally 12 hours apart.
Excellent. Another customer question. Why are they artificially seminated? Is that better?
It's safer. Um, it also gives us more choices. Bulls are kept at a bull stud, a bull farm, and that way we have choices on what bulls to use. Each bull offers different things that we can improve our cows with, whether it's the way her udder looks on her, how much milk, how much butter, fat. There's just lots of different things that go into that. It's safer. It's safer for the farmers. Artificial insemination is, I can also breed her when I want to. So just different things like that.
Yep. And then a customer is asking, how many cows do you have on the farm?
Oh, altogether, including our dry cows, about 120.
Do you consider your farm a family farm?
Yes, we do. It's family labor, family owned, but at the same time, some of those bigger farms are also family farms. 99% of the farms here in Pennsylvania are family farms. Just they have more family members on that farm. It's just my husband and myself and our daughter, so we don't need as many cows to run our farm and provide an income. These bigger farms that may have 1,000 cows, a lot of those are just multi generations on a farm. Maybe you've got three brothers and their dad are all on a farm, but they're still a family farm.
Customer says that sounds like a lot of work. So what might a typical day for a cow, a dairy cow, be like on your farm?
So we do wake her up early so she can get milk, but a lot of times those cows are waiting outside the door to come in to be milked. But she comes in, she gets milked, and then she goes back outside. We have what you call a freestall farm. And on our freestall, the cows can kind of wander around as they want. They can lay down in nice, comfy, sawdust filled beds, but they can go get something to eat when they want. We have a bunk that's always full of fresh feed, and then they have plenty of water. We have water at 4 different access points. So water is very important to a dairy cow. So we make sure she's got plenty of that. But our cows do wander around and sleep and eat. And then on the other side of the driveway, and that picture behind you is our dairy cow pasture. Our cows do have access to go outside twice a day.
Nice. A customer is asking if you pasteurize the milk and does it change the taste of the milk?
Our milk is actually sold through our milk co-op, and the bulk truck comes in every day and takes it to the processor where it is pasteurized or made into other dairy products. It depends upon who you talk to. We as dairy farmers do think it changes it a little bit because we do drink it raw here on the farm, but most people, with the high-tech pasteurization we have nowadays, it doesn't change it as much as it did. It's still a very good fresh product.
Yes, it is. And a customer's asking, do the calves stay at your farm and grow up there?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Um, I had sent a picture to Joni. I'm not sure if she was able to use it or not, but it was a picture of one of our dairy calves, and we have little hutches. They look like little dog houses, but all our babies are raised here and come into production on our farm.
Another question, what can we do to support our wonderful, hardworking farmers? Anything we should advocate for with our elected representatives?
Oh, well, you do want to make sure your elected representatives support agriculture, not just dairy farming, but agriculture in all aspects. The great state of Pennsylvania is very supportive of farming, and that's very important to us. And of course, if you want to support farming, make sure you buy lots of dairy products, whether it's ice cream, cheese, yogurt, and of course, fresh milk.
Excellent. You may have answered this, but a customer is asking, do you make butter?
Sometimes we make it here at home for ourselves, but our dairy co-op does make some butter.
How much of the milk produced is reserved for the calves being born and how much is being used commercially?
Oh gosh, that's just a small percentage, but we do take out what the calves do need. We will supplement that milk with something called milk replacer, which is like a formula that you would have for your own children, especially in the winter. We do fortify that milk a little bit to make sure they get enough calories and enough protein and nutrients. The milk does provide most of it, but in the wintertime, there's extra needs for it.
Do the cows get to graze freely every day as they would like?
They actually do. They were already out this morning, and as they got hot, they decided they wanted to all go back in the barn. We have fans on in the barn, so they're very comfortable in there. But yes, they go out twice a day, every day, as unless the ground's exceptionally wet, like it was here about a week ago when we had all that rain. So then they'd rather stay in anyway. But they have access to pasture.
You're getting so many questions here. Customers asking, why can't we get non-homogenized milk? Pasteurized is good, but I was raised on non-homogenized where we skim the cream off the top.
Most of your commercial companies like ourselves don't offer that at this time. Maybe sometime we will, but some of your little local dairy stores do offer that. You can look around at your smaller dairy stores, and some of them do offer that.
I love this question. Is it true when one sees cows lying down that it's going to rain?
Well, some years we'd have a pretty rainy year, wouldn't we? Cows need to rest like the rest of us do. So, it's funny. I'm a first generation farmer myself. So, driving around, my dad used to say that to us. And of course, now being married to a dairy farmer, we certainly realize that cows do like to lay down and rest. And as they lay and rest, that's when they're making milk. So, no, they don't lay down just when it's going to rain.
Do cows have the ability to self-regulate the amount of food that they eat? Oh, what a good question.
Actually, our cows have free choice at our bunk. The bunk is full of feed. Where the ration is presented to them. So yes, they come up, they eat what they want, and then they go lay down. We never force feed an animal, and you can't do that anyway. I wouldn't figure out how, but so they eat what they want.
Do you name your individual cows?
They all do have a name. In the computer, they all have a number, but next to their number is a name. So every one of our cows is actually identified by a tag in her ear with a number that does correspond to a name.
Excellent. How much milk does an average cow give each day?
Well, our Jersey cows are probably giving, we do it all in pounds, so about 60 pounds. So a little over 5 gallons.
And then the question as it is written says, what's the name of Jennifer's farmer? So I don't know if they mean farmer or farm.
My farmer, as I refer to him, his name is Tom. That's the husband. The farm is named Told You So Farm.
All right. I love raw milk. I think it does taste better and comes with the cream at the top of the bottle, like when I was a child. Yep. How many years do cows typically provide milk?
Well, we have several girls who are 10 years old. We have a couple that are 12. So, that's probably considered older in dairy world, but so, and they're still producing milk. So they'll stay here as long as they're able to.
Do all cows typically produce around the same amount?
No, some do produce more than others. Sometimes the butterfat is a little bit higher, so that she produces a little bit less milk.
So this is a great question. I'm concerned about animal welfare in the dairy industry. Can you speak to the animal welfare practices that you use on the farm?
Well, we participate in a program called FARM, where we are intermittently, somebody comes in and evaluates us on how we take care of our animals. We also have a veterinarian who comes in every 2 weeks. And of course, if he was to see something we weren't doing correctly, he would help us facilitate that improving. But all our cows are treated as ladies. Every girl, we refer to them as ladies. Hey, girls. They are treated as a member of the family.
Nice. So a customer, I'm paraphrasing this question. A customer saying, that when you skim the cream off the top, is there anything on the market today that would be similar to that?
Well, you have skim milk or lower percentage
I
fat.
think they mean the fat part.
Oh, what do we do with the fat?
No,
Um,
like, is there anything they could buy that would be similar to that?
well, when we skim the milk off, it does become I guess I'm not understanding the question, because if we skim the milk off of if we skim the cream off of milk, it becomes, 1% and skim milk.
Right. So they're just saying they want the fat to use. Can
Oh,
you buy
well,
just the fat?
yes, you can buy heavy cream. Heavy cream and light cream is also sold in most grocery stores.
So in your family, who gets to name the cows?
Well, my daughter and I do. Our daughter who works with us, she does most of that anymore. But as the kids were growing up, sometimes we'd run out of names and we'd get the dictionary out and open it up and point to a name in there. Some of them had interesting names, but sometimes they were named after flowers, and sometimes they are named after constellations. But we've had fun naming them.
Nice. Why is it pounds of milk instead of gallons?
Well, that's just how the dairy industry has kind of always done it. Within the dairy plant, it's the way you weigh it out. It's a kind of a more accurate measure in some ways, but we've done it in pounds, and it's one of those things that's the way it's always been done.
Yep. How long does the average cow live?
Well, like I said before, we've had several cows that I think our oldest cow was 18. So they can live, a long life, but we have 12, 10, 12, 13-year-old cows right now. So
Do cows ever have trouble giving birth? And if so, what do you do?
from time to time they do. We're pretty educated ourselves in assisting, but if we if we decide that it is something that we can't handle, our veterinarian is on speed dial. So the veterinarian would come out and assist.
Excellent. A customer is saying they always buy the same brand of milk every week, but sometimes it doesn't taste the same. Is there a reason why milk would have a different, almost watery taste sometimes?
Well, most milk is usually pretty fresh, but maybe it sat out on the loading dock a little longer than it should have and got a little warmer. But other than that, I'm really not quite sure why it would. It should all be uniform. At Mayola, we check our milk for uniformity. It's spot checked. So I do know that much about our particular brand.
Great. Does each cow give 5 gallons a day, or is that a total of 5 gallons for all of your cows?
Oh, that would be each cow.
That's a lot of milk.
Yes.
What is the average lifespan of a dairy cow? How old is your oldest cow?
Well, in the past, we had one that lived to 18, but our oldest one right now is 13.
And I think we answered this already, but I'm going to ask it again. Do you ever worry about the cows overeating?
Once in a while, a cow will get indigestion. So maybe she did eat too much, but not very often do we have to worry about that. Cows do self regulate and just eat what they need.
If your cow gives birth to a male, how long does he stay on your farm? Then where does he go?
My daughter has been selling most of our male calves to, we have a couple different people who would like to buy some for pets and or some for meat. Some of the male calves do go for into the beef market, but we actually use what they call sex semen at this point. So we don't have too many bull calves born anymore. Sex semen is a tool we use so that we don't have to have the male calves on the farm.
So interesting. Wow. Customers saying organic milk seems to have a longer shelf life in the supermarket. Can you speak as to why?
It's the way it's pasteurized. They have it's a different type of pasteurization that's used for most of the organic milk, so it gives it a longer shelf life.
And can you say again, where are you located?
I am in southern Lancaster County, Pennsylvania.
Excellent. Some friends I know chose to be dairy free because they claim cows have to be kept pregnant to produce milk. Could you explain that a little bit? And thanks for coming to Table Talk.
Thank you. Um, Cows, I won't say they're kept pregnant, but cows do have a calf a year in order to bring her back into full production. We have to also remember that cows were designed by our maker to make milk. That is, and cows are, like I said, they're designed by God to make milk. And so we have, as her caretaker, we make sure she's in her best health to be able to have a calf a year.
Excellent. What brands do you sell under? Somebody wants to find your milk in the store.
Oh, I proudly sell under Mayola brand, Maola, yeah, Maola, Mayola brand.
Somebody said, is your brand of milk called Jennifer? As a child, my great aunt let me try to milk one of her cows. I was not successful. I would I was afraid I would hurt her. What did surprise me was how warm a cow is when I rested my head on her side. What is a normal temperature of a cow?
101 degrees. So they are fairly warm.
And does Giant and Martin sell your milk?
Yes. And you will find it in in some of the Costco's, they have it, but yes.
It seems that milk we buy at the grocery store doesn't turn sour nearly as soon as it used to. Is that because it has more additives?
No, there's no additives. It's they have changed the way milk is pasteurized. They use a quick time pasteurization. It actually kills more of any bacteria that might be in it, which helps keep it shelf stable much longer.
Thank you for that. What happens to the cows after they retire from providing milk?
Well, a couple of them get to retire here forever. We have a couple cows out there that they have become pets for us. Some of them do go into the beef market.
Are you able to like take a mini vacation or go away for a day or two? And then if you do, who does the milking?
Well, we haven't gone on a family vacation. We've only ever had one that we all went at the same time. Usually somebody stays here because we want the continuity of care for our animals. So, but if we do go away, we find somebody who is very well versed in taking care of animals. That we do have a gentleman that once in a while we do have him and his wife come in. They're retired dairy farmers themselves, so he knows how to mix the feed to the same specifications that we would ask him to. And he also knows how to milk cows very carefully. So once in a while, we do get away.
Do cows have predators that you need to watch out for?
Well, sometimes the neighbor's dog, luckily, we don't have any of that in our neighborhood at this time, but um, that would be the biggest predator. The neighbor's dog might go out and chase them or whatever, but other than that, cows are pretty, they're pretty stable creatures. They're gentle, so they don't have too much going on.
Do you grow your own cow food? And if so, how many acres does it take to feed your herd?
We are actually on a rented farm where we buy our feed. So the owner of the farm is actually the one who makes the feed for our cows. And the farm that we are currently on is about 200 acres. So that's about how much land it takes to make the feed. We do buy some of the other ingredients, some of the minerals, and some of the maybe dry corn or something, but everything else is grown here. It's grown as corn silage. Corn that's grown and put into a silo and fermented, and then haylage, which is basically the same thing. They cut down hay, they put it in a silo where it's fermented and to make the feed for the cows.
I know some farms use newer technology. Question is, does your farm use AI at all?
Um, the AI that I use is called artificial insemination, but I know what you're talking about. And at this time, no, we don't. AI is in as far as artificial intelligence, we're not using that at this time, but we do use artificial insemination.
Yes. Do you allow the calves to feed from their mother?
Sometimes they'll get the first feeding, but mostly we don't. And I know that seems to be a controversial thing, but dairy cows, there's a few of them that are fantastic mothers, but dairy cows, for the most part, are not the greatest mothers. So we typically do take their calves, we milk that milk is called colostrum. Therefore, we can make sure the calf gets an adequate amount of colostrum into them, which is, the healthiest thing we can do for them. But yeah, so most of the time the calves do not suckle their mothers the first time.
Do you have any lactose-free milk?
Not on the farm. Lactose-free milk is done at the dairy plant. Um, so lactose is a sugar that is naturally in milk.
Excellent. Going with the common or milk freshness, how important is the date on the milk?
Well, the date on the milk is usually the last sell by date. And it doesn't usually mean that the milk is bad at that time. It'll usually tell you it's good for so many days after that sell by date.
Can you say one more time the name of the brand that they could find at Giant Martin's for your
Yep,
milk?
Mayola,
So it's M-A.
Ola.
There you go. Thank you. What temperature is the milk when it comes out of the cow?
Well, her body temperature is 101, so it's at about 101 degrees when it comes out of the cow.
Do you play music for your cows?
Actually, my husband enjoys listening to music as he milks them. So yes, the girls listen to music.
I know you said they're predators, but somebody's asking, do dogs help herd your cows?
We actually do have a border collie that does help herd the cows.
Excellent. So I want to ask a little bit about National Dairy Month, right? Can you share some knowledge about National Dairy Month and how that plays a part?
Well, of course, we know June is National Dairy Month, and I'll be honest, I can't remember how many years it's been going on, but it's a fantastic way for dairy farmers to promote and be recognized for our dairy products and just make people in general aware of what dairy farmers have to offer.
Yep, thank you. How do you keep cow udders healthy?
Well, a couple things we do on our farm is we have to make sure their beds are clean. And when they're being prepped for milking, we have a special it's a dip basically. We dip the udders and then we wipe them dry, and we make sure that everything's nice and clean on their udders. We also clip the hair off of their udders. Cows have some fine hairs on their udders, and if we clip them, it keeps any dirt that would cling to them off of it.
Is there more sugar in 2% milk compared to whole milk? And I can answer that one too if you would like.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's not like there's any more sugar. So there's natural sugar, which is the lactose, as Jennifer had said. So when you take out the fat, what's left in there naturally becomes more of everything else. So it does have a little bit more carbohydrate in there because you took out the fat, but it's not per se like they're adding anything to it. Do you have a brand of cheese?
No, we don't. I support Cabot, but,
Do you
but
brand your
my daughter.
cows?
No, no, we don't. Our calves, we actually do tattoo their ears with the same number that would go on them. The dairy registration, like our jerseys through National Jersey, we do tattoo them.
Have you ever competed at the Pennsylvania Farm Show?
Yes, my daughter has.
Oh, fun. We're always on the culinary stage, the dietitians.
Sorry for my cat, which is joining me.
So sweet. Yes. Thank you for answering all these questions we have. This is a customer saying this. You've certainly been patient. Thanks for the info. Thank you, Joni, for understanding the questions as I'm typing. Absolutely. We're here to get your questions answered for sure. What happens to the cows when they're too old to give milk?
Like I said, we have a couple that we just retired here on the farm. They just were such good old girls, and we couldn't let them leave. So they're actually a couple of them are in that pasture out behind you in that picture, but the rest do. They do go into the beef market.
Okay. And then somebody's asking about methane gas emissions from cows and how it contributes to global warming. Can you address this?
Well, cows have been here forever. I personally do not believe that the methane gas from cows um, contribute any more or less than they ever have. Cows have been here for a thousand, God made them, so he made them as they are. They do different feeding methods to try and reduce some of that methane gas, but being out on pasture and eating grass and spreading their manure naturally out on the field is not is it's natural.
You have so many wonderful comments. People are putting in the Q&A how much they appreciate you and answering honestly and all the information that you're sharing. We salute our farmers. We could not exist without their hard work. This was so interesting to hear from Jennifer. I learned so much. Thank you for coming to talk to us today. Thank you so much, Joni and Jennifer. So nice and so informative, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you. So as we close, just want to see like what's your favorite dairy product, and if you have a recipe or way to eat it, or tell us about your relationship with dairy.
Oh gosh, I think between ice cream and cottage cheese, I'm not sure which one I like more. But ice cream on a hot summer day, there's nothing better. And I just love cottage cheese. I cut up some fruit and have it alongside it. It's just any fruit all summer long, along with some cottage cheese, is a fantastic and refreshing way to enjoy dairy.
Excellent. A customer saying, yes, cheese. Absolutely. Love it, love it, love it. Well, we so appreciate your time here. Thank you, thank you. Getting a lot of great gratitude in the Q&A here. Thank you so much. Found this topic so interesting. I now have a new perspective. I love that, Alice. Thank you so much, Jennifer. We so appreciate you. This has been very informative and we learned a lot. And say goodbye to the beautiful cows behind me.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
Now give your dog some cheese.
Absolutely.
Absolutely love it. Thanks so much.
All
Have
right,
a
take
great
care.
rest of your day, everybody.
All right,
Bye.
bye.